Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I did all that talking about the Lakers in regards to why they would want to do a move that would bring KD and Kyrie to LA and ship AD and Russell Westbrook and God knows what else, probably the two picks and whatever else that would make sense to Brooklyn. And I guess what I wanted to come up with is Brooklyn side of things. Why this particular haul would be something they would be considering, or why they would land on this particular haul. And first and foremost, the leverage here is the idea that KD and Kyrie want to play with one another, and that the Lakers would likely be the destination they would choose, because the other destinations that would be able to get them both probably aren't places they probably want to live right now. You know, they probably pull it off in like Indiana, Utah. You know what I mean? I'm sure most teams would be willing to pull it off, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a splash as if you do it in LA with the Lakers next to LeBron James. I think it just hits different in terms of the type of endorsement money and the type of opportunities that you can get off the court. It's just a money tree if you know, do it here with the Lakers and LeBron James. It's a perfect storm for the maximum amount of dollars for everybody involved. So that's one reason why. But from the Brooklyn end of things, you're like, okay, well, why do they take on Anthony Davis? Why would they ever take on a Westbrook contract? What would even make me think that they would even consider that? Well, the first thing is the moves that they made today. The moves that they made today, picking up Patty Mills, picking up Royce O'Neal in a trade that gave away a first round pick, which I still haven't been able to quite make sense of just yet. Those are obviously moves that you don't make if you're contending, if you intend on rebuilding. Excuse me. That's complete opposite. If you intend on rebuilding, you do not trade for players that ultimately are going to win now, and trade out pick equity. So if they're trading out first round picks, obviously that signals to me that they're not necessarily interested in first round picks. They're bringing back guys like Patty Mills who are later in their careers. That means that apparently KD wanting out and Kyrie wanting out is not changing their timeline in terms of what they expect to do for this season. So if they are not looking for pick equity, then what are they looking for? Well, obviously, if you're really on top of your game, the first thing you want is to try to get the youngest, baddest player in the world. You know, this is Kevin Durant, so obviously you're going to go after the best possible thought you can think of. You're probably going to call up the Bucks, see if Giannis is available. You're going to call up, you know, as they said, Phoenix, and see if they can get Booker out of there. Maybe you call up, you know, Dallas, try to get Luka. Like, these are the type of things you're going to do when you know you have KD in your hands, looking to trade him, because that's reasonable, believe it or not. But here's the problem: you're the Brooklyn Nets, and honestly, it's not one of those situations where you could just bring any old haul to you. You need to be able to also bring a draw to your team. You also need to be able to have a player in place that you can match up with what it is that you already have after sending these players out, and still sell to your team that you're a win now team. You got to be able to sell that. So if you're going to bring in a youngster that maybe is going to take 2 or 3 years, that makes all the sense of the world to me. But who's going to acquiesce to that? Who's going to actually give you their star youngster for aging Kevin Durant, who we just saw in the playoffs didn't look his best? You know, I put it like this: most of these guys that you could think of, they're getting re-signed today. Booker got his money today. Karl Towns got his money today. Like, you're not going to be able to pull Jason Tatum out of Boston. You're not going to be able to snatch, say, Trae Young out of Atlanta. Like, these are the type of things that you would try to do if you can get, you know, if you have KD to trade. But the problem is these situations are so solidified that under normal circumstances, yeah, they would love to trade these particular players for KD, but they're in the middle of a plan, most of these teams. If you look around, all the teams in the league are just getting started with their timeline. It's a good portion of the league that really not interested in doing anything. Some of them are interested in Victor next year, so they're going to tank for him. So this is just the wrong year to be somebody like KD who wants to leave a situation when nobody had you planned to leave. You got a 4-year deal that's just getting started right now. It's like, it's kind of hard to work that into the equation. Even if people are willing to, they'll move heaven and earth, but they're not going to move that young player that the Nets are going to want. They'll move everything else but that guy. And they'll want to pair KD with that guy. So it's like, that's the problem that you run into if you're the Nets. Maybe you get lucky and somebody gives you a De'Aaron Fox or something like that, but you selling KD to Sacramento, Sacramento ain't going to do that because they know they ain't going to be able to keep KD. He's going to ask out immediately, and they're going to be out of Fox and him. So that's when it becomes a situation where it's like, when you're the Nets, you don't actually have the full spectrum of KD to trade because he's actually demanding out. And even though he did give you 2 spots, Phoenix and Miami, you can listen to all these different other calls and they're giving you wonderful package offers, but it's still not going to give you what you're looking for. And so because they don't want to give away pick equity, see, any team that wants to take on KD knows they have to be win now. So if they pull a New York Knicks, Carmelo Anthony, Denver Nuggets situation, then they're bringing KD to nothing. His timeline won't allow that. If they don't have a contingency plan for that, he's going to want out immediately. So you see all these situations, they're not ideal. You look all over the place, they're not ideal. If they don't have the locale that a guy like KD would want to live in, then they don't have the situation. If they have the situation, then they have to gut their team. And if they gut their team, they can't be a contender. And so it's like all these different situations, when you start looking around for KD, it's like, okay, well, he could go to Phoenix, but that team's kind of going to be depleted too. He has to definitely be depleting Miami. They're going to have nothing left if they trade him there. Like I said, some of these other teams like Pelicans, they're not going to want to part ways with young talent. They're going to want to trade picks. The Nets don't want picks, in theory. Although they should want picks and should change their mind about that immediately. But just for the sake of my speculation, they don't want picks. So it's like, what can we trade them for? We can't get the young player we want. We don't want picks. Everybody's willing to give us picks and not young players. What do we find? Well, what do you find is the Los Angeles Lakers holding Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook's $47 million expiring contract. That's what you're going to find. Everything is actually going to point back to the Lakers because AD is exactly the answer to your problems if you're the Brooklyn Nets, because his price tag is obviously the record-breaking price tag that you're trying to break by trading KD. He's the guy that is the other most valuable piece to ever be traded. So right there, that tells you that you're not too far off if you happen to trade him for him, to say the least. Now, has AD's value gone down some? Yes, but KD's has too, and you have to take that into account. They both have this past season. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, maybe the Nets are shopping KD all around, and like I said, if they're willing to take back pick equity and start the rebuild, I'm pretty sure they'll get a record-breaking number of picks. But if they're still on this win-now mission, the best package they may actually get offered just may happen to be Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, and whatever the picks would be, and whatever, as to which, of course, we're going to want Kyrie Irving in a separate deal, so you just put those deals together. You see what I'm saying? That even if Kyrie Irving was not a part of this situation, the best deal the Nets may find based on the circumstances at hand and what it is that they appear to want, may actually still be the Los Angeles Lakers and Anthony Davis. Because Denver ain't about to give you Jokic. Giannis ain't going to be playing with you. Steph ain't about to give you, he ain't about to go into, he's not leaving Golden State. You see what I'm saying? It's like, where do you find this type of talent if you're the Brooklyn Nets looking to shop KD? Who is you? You can't get Booker. They already told you they ain't giving you him. You know what I mean? You start skating around the league. Would the Clippers be willing to give you Paul George? If you say the answer is yes, do you rather have Paul George than Anthony Davis? Are you sure the answer is yes there? I think most people are not going to be too certain, although Paul George has looked great and Anthony Davis hasn't looked great. Historically, it's not a conversation. It's definitely Anthony Davis. So you see what I'm saying? It's like, damn. If the Lakers are willing to throw in Anthony Davis and I'm the Nets, after I finish shopping around Kevin Durant and looking at all the packages, if I don't want any pick equity, Anthony Davis is the best thing I got. It's the best thing on the table for me. Especially when you're given the fact that Kyrie's price tag is going to get me an expiring contract that's going to give me $47 million worth of cap space at the end of next season. So that right there is an incentive to do deals with the Lakers anyway. And you got Anthony Davis sitting there, they're like, yo, we can just add Anthony Davis to this deal and take care of your Kevin Durant problem. Like, that's basically how that goes. So, like, I'm pretty sure all sides, all parties involved have already figured this out. I'm pretty sure of that. Because once you start shopping Kevin Durant around and you start hearing the word no, and then you start seeing the packages and you start realizing it's pick equity and you just gave away a pick, you're like, I don't want any picks. I just gave one away for Royce O'Neal. So clearly I don't give a damn about no damn first round picks. So that's what I've come to the conclusion with. I don't know that. Obviously, you can get a better deal if you remove the equation of where, Kyrie wants to play with KD, and you can get a better deal if you want to take back picks. Like, there's a lot of scenarios to where the Brooklyn Nets don't necessarily have to stranglehold themselves to what it is I'm talking about. But it seems through their moves that they already have, which is what I'm saying to you guys. So I don't know. Nothing's undoable. Obviously, just because you paid Patty Mills does not mean you have to go through with turning away 4 and 5 and 6 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. But if you're hell-bent on selling a win-now attitude to the Brooklyn fan base and you don't want them to hate you for the short term, I think bringing Anthony Davis and Ben Simmons together is a very strong selling point. Now, real basketball fans are going to ask about spacing. Real basketball fans are going to ask about the fit. But real basketball fans are going to be unbelievably enamored with the defensive possibilities. Because that right there is one of the best defensive tandems ever. Anthony Davis and Ben Simmons, ever. And I'm not exaggerating about that at all. So, that's another reason why you consider that if you're the Brooklyn Nets. If you're a win-now type of franchise, I can think of a lot worse 2 players to put together. And a lot of them are probably going to be offered to you in deals for Kevin Durant. Do you have question marks about what you can do in regards to trying to bring them what they need? Not really. Why? Because that $47 million is going to be off the books next season. That's why. So, I think that's a good reason to take Kevin Durant, of whom just asked for a trade, Kyrie Irving, who doesn't want to be here, obviously he's getting the hell out of here, and turning him into one of the best defenders this game has ever seen, Anthony Davis. I think it's a good contingency plan if I can't get one of them youngsters that I definitely want, like Jason Tatum or Luka Doncic or something like that. Somebody nobody's gonna get. Maybe I'm looking at Cleveland and saying, give me Garland and Mobley or something. As to which they're probably gonna say no. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're gonna run into. I give you picks though. And then it's like, here's the deal. So if I'm like This is where I'm at if I'm the Nets. And I know it's not possible. They're going to say no. But this is what I'm thinking. I got KD. How can I land the team with the best possible pick next season? Like, who can I finagle, or whatever the word would be, to try to finesse a way to get in that top 3 next draft? Because the reality is, anybody that can get within the top 6 of a lottery pick team, if you can just guess who's near the bottom next year and get their pick, maybe you got a chance at victory yourself if you're Brooklyn. Maybe you can put yourself in a position to maybe luck up and guess right. So these are the type of things that, I'm thinking about if I'm a GM. Maybe, I'm trying to find a way to get Sacramento's next year's pick or something like that. You never know. Maybe you get lucky, and that would be the team that gets the pick. Because you can clearly see OKC's hoarding. Several teams are hoarding right now, trying to get picks like crazy so they can put themselves in this position. San Antonio. If you're Brooklyn and you're about to give away everybody, I don't see why you wouldn't at least try to find a way with Kevin Durant to get involved in that lottery. That's why I don't understand why they don't want draft equity. That is a mistake. That's a mistake. But nevertheless, Brooklyn Nets are going to do what they want to do, man. They're dealing with what they're dealing with. So, hey, I, as a Laker fan, definitely love the idea of them doing business with us. We can get this Kyrie Irving thing out the way. And look, Anthony Davis, I don't know how the Lakers feel about him, but if I'm running the organization and KD's on the block, so is Anthony. It's that simple. Ain't no way I'm not offering him. I have to. And I'm giving that 27 pick, and I'm giving the 29 pick too. If it's going to get that deal done, I'm giving away both of those picks. Because it's Kevin Durant. This is Kevin Durant. And if I wasn't clear, maybe I have to repeat that. If this can get us Kevin Durant, you obviously give away both the 27 and the 29th pick. You do not hesitate, if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, to put that type of price tag on Kevin Durant, because he is worth more than Anthony Davis. And that you're going to have to throw that pick on top of it in order to get him, and you know it. And you got to throw in THT, and you may have to throw in something else too, and you're going to throw in all of that because it's Kevin Durant. So that's BDF 44's take on it as a Laker fan. I'm not letting anything on this roster, not named LeBron James, keep me from getting Kevin Durant. I'm telling you. Me personally, I'm not. I'm offering it all. So, let's see what the Lakers do, man. Like I said, Brooklyn, that might be the best you get if you're being stubborn about them picks. Give it some thought. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. Out.